welcome back to another Homestead Mortgage Market Update. We're going to be talking about appraisals and how various loan programs can impact those appraisals. But before we actually get into that, we have our Canva Marketing Masterclass. This is coming up Tuesday, July 9th, 11:30 a.m. This will be in person. A laptop is recommended. We also recommend RSVP. Bring your friends, whether they're real estate professionals or not, because we're going to be having some lunch, and this is going to be great information for everybody. We're going through tips and tricks, shortcuts, ways to make your life easier, and how to integrate this into your marketing. Interest rates. Well, last week we were kind of at 6.99. We had a small trickle down, and as you can see here, 6.95 is the current average interest rate across all loan programs, across all credit scores, across all down payments, across all discount points. That is the average. So you will see some higher, some lower even today. And this is current as of June 13th. So we should see a decrease because we are getting a new week started right now. But I want to point your attention to the widening gap between the 30 and the 15-year mortgage. You can see we're almost a full percentage point different between the two. And as you can see previously, the gap was kind of small, especially take a look here in this October, December, November range right here. This is kind of telling us that the 15-year is starting to become even less risky than the 30-year, which indicates the market wants to go down. So on one hand, we can look at this and say, yeah, the 15-year is a really good product right now. But also in addition, we can see some hope in what the Federal Reserve is kind of hinting at, with rates at least being stagnant, if not going down in the near-ish future. Don't hold their word too heavily. Here's what the market has been doing. Green up is good, red down is bad. And as we can see, last week we had the Fed meet, we had CPI report, we had job report, and we had a VA circular come out, which gave us a little bit of a boost, and we're kind of holding steady. The market's deciding which way it wants to go, kind of holding. As we get more news and as time goes on, we'll see more reaction, but it's really nice to see a slight bump in mortgage-backed securities, as well as some relief on interest rates. So hopefully we maintain that momentum. We're going to have Dale tell us a little bit about appraisals. Dale?
Hey there. I want to talk about appraisals for just a minute or two. The reality is the appraiser is the eyes of the lender. It is their job to look at the condition of the property and determine if it's worthy for a loan. Even though there should be a standard for every appraiser, it is basically an appraiser's discretion what they call, what they don't call. That being said, FHA and VA has specific standards that a house is supposed to meet. For instance, utilities. Water needs to be on, sewer needs to work, electricity needs to be on. An appraiser, when they go out to do an FHA or VA loan, they have to certify that it meets certain standards, and if they don't meet that standards, they say so in the report, and that is something that will have to be addressed. They also have to address health and safety issues, as well as any pest issues. Now, on a conventional report, some appraisers will look at utilities, some won't. It's kind of a crapshoot. Conventional is typically the appraiser's a little bit easier on it, knowing full well payment there's a little bit investment by the buyer, and so they tend to be a little bit kinder in that regard. The reality is the appraiser, again, is the eyes of the lender. It is their job to convey to the lender an accurate description of the property that they are bound to loan. Clarifies a little bit. Have a great day.
All right, thank you so much, Dale. And all very, very good, relevant information. I wanted to give you guys some basic bullet points to be looking at with this. How do different loan programs affect the appraisal process? And I want to bring one thing that Dale said to mind because it is critical to the appraisal process. This is in the eye of the beholder, the appraiser. Now, at Homestead Mortgage, we do not have the ability to select appraisers. We cannot say, this appraiser does that loan, this appraiser does the other loan. We do have a panel that we can pick and choose who appears on the panel, but The appraisal management company ultimately is going to be the one that randomly selects an appraiser to do the particular loan. That's all we have the ability to do, nothing more. And it's been this way for a decade or so. So that's the first part about appraisals to understand. The second part, eye of the beholder aspect, is the fact that, well, all appraisals should technically be the same. The only difference is between conventional FHA, USDA, and VA is what guidelines the appraiser must specifically comment on. So in that particular case, we've outlined some really big things that come up. This is not the unequivocal source of what you need to look at, and this is by no means definitive. Please take it with a grain of salt and understand that these are guidelines, and it's in the eye of the beholder. Conventional loans, we're really just looking at market value and condition of the property. If there's something severely wrong with it or absolutely noticeable, yeah, it could easily be called out in an appraisal report, regardless of conventional FHA, USDA, or VA. Okay, and as you can see, FHA, USDA, and VA, they look really darn similar, and that's because they do pretty much follow the exact same guidelines outlined by the federal government. FHA, USDA, health and safety regards, 1978. If a home's older than that, you have lead-based paint concerns. You have to make sure that thermostatically controlled heat sources are in the actual property. VA, exact same things, except the difference is you have a pest report or a pest clearance that needs to be done. Previously, a couple years ago, it didn't exist. We didn't have the MPN as in Nancy, PMA 33 form. This is a wood-destroying pest report, and it's a single-page document that can be filled out by a licensed pest control specialist. It is a lot cheaper, and it moves the process forward if there are no things to be addressed in that actual form. But do keep in mind, it is not the be-all, end-all, save-all thing. If there's something that shows up in that form and it's not filled out with full clearance, you're going to have to get a pest control report anyways, and any Section 1 items, potential Section 2 items, may have to be fixed before close of escrow. So it's not a be-all, end-all, that NPMA 33 form, so do understand that. But I do want to put this one general thing out there. Because of the appraisal process is so wide in scope and it's in the eye of the beholder, in the eye of the appraiser, it's really important to get in the head of the appraiser and the underwriter for the lender. And here at Homestead Mortgage, we have a very valued relationship with our underwriting team to a point where we can go and we can ask questions before an appraiser is even sent out, and we can determine, would this cause any issue, taking a look at the listing reports, taking a look at any disclosures that may come up. We want to make sure we can address things before an appraisal even happens. And we'll work as best as we can to make sure that an FHA, USDA, and VA loan do not hinder an appraisal process, or at the very least, we'll try and make it as smooth as possible. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you guys so much for your attention. If you have questions, by all means, give us a ring. You'd be surprised how many properties listed as cash or conventional only would pass an FHA, USDA, or VA appraisal. Give us a call. We'd be glad to chat with you.